welcome to the Randwick Local Planning Panel meeting. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I'm the chair of the panel and my name is Annalise Tour. Joining me today are expert members Brendan Randalls and Helena Miller, and the community representative is Michelle Finnegan. Today we have two people registered to address the panel. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes and any extension of time will be at my discretion as chair. After hearing from the speakers, the public meeting will be closed and the panel will deliberate and make a decision. The minutes of the panel decision, including our reasons, will be available on Council's website as soon as possible after the public meeting. You should be aware that the panel meetings are recorded and the audio recordings will be uploaded on Council's website. Each member of the panel has been asked prior to the meeting to advise whether they have a conflict of interest to declare in relation to any item on the agenda. I can confirm that no conflicts of interest have been declared in relation to the item on the public agenda. In relation to the item on the electronic agenda, Helena Miller has declared conflict for 801 to 899. 899 Bunnerong Road, Chifley. So the first speaker is Jason Dunbar, and I understand you're at 274.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to present to the panel. That's right. My name is Jason Dunbar. I'm the owner of Lot 7 at 274 Arden Street here in Coogee. I'm also representing today the interests of some of the other owners within the complex, and we have a number of concerns in relation to the DA 450 next door at 272 Arden Street. The first one is obviously the impacts of our view.
Okay, sorry, Jason, I'm just going to interrupt you because what I should have said is that there have, I don't know if you're aware, but there have been amended plans that have been put in a while ago. Those plans did not need to be re-notified because they've got lesser impact, but potentially they may have addressed some of your concerns. So what I would like to do is just, if I get the council staff to screen share, to just show you what the elevation to your building would look like. So I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see those. I've actually been online on council's website.
So you're aware that that's been. Okay, so what you're saying now is in relation to the amended plans.
Yeah, so I have been online again this morning just to refresh my memory of the plans, and obviously the ones you've got on screen are what I've seen previously. Whilst I do acknowledge that there has been some changes to the original plans, which obviously impacted us badly, those original plans, but these ones still do have some impact. We currently enjoy an unobstructed view of the sand on Coogee Beach, and obviously with the size and scale of what's being proposed next door, that no longer will probably be the case. And in particular for the apartment downstairs at number 4, the mid-level building and then the ground floor, their view is going to be obstructed badly. So, you know, whilst there has been some amendments, we're still concerned by the view aspect. The second part of what I wanted to raise was obviously, you know, we currently enjoy all 3 front apartments here, 1, 4 and 7, all enjoy, you know, lovely sunshine. Some of the neighbours here, you know, sunbake on their balconies at times. Coogee is one of those places where you can do that. We're close to the beach. And, you know, the size and scale, I guess, of the building and its encroachment, we're very concerned that obviously, you know, the enjoyment from the sunshine that we currently receive is going to be taken away from us, you know, should this development obviously proceed. So that's definitely an issue. You know, the building next door at 272 is within about a metre of our boundary. So it's very, very close. An encroachment with the size and scale of what's being proposed is a major concern, not only for myself, but for the other owners here in the complex. We're concerned about, obviously, you know, with the view, the shading, etc., that, you know, it's going to diminish the value of our properties. I think that's inevitable. And obviously that's a major concern for all of us. In particular with the rear of the building, I note that there's a new pool and spa being proposed to be put in. Our concern in particular with the rear units is, we're very, very close to our boundary fence. There's about a metre between the building and where we are. And the pool and spa that's going in or proposed to be going in sits right alongside that boundary fence. And I do know that my neighbour downstairs at the back on both levels is very concerned by the fact that their bedroom window sits right adjacent that pool. And we know that in summer, when that pool is going to be in use, that's going to be in use till all hours of the night. And, there's going to be a lot of noise there for those particular people. And, I know that you guys can't control the noise that comes from a swimming pool and spa, but I think it's inevitable that there's not one there currently, and there is going to be significant noise adjacent to a bedroom window. And,
Jason, I'll just interrupt you because you are over the 3 minutes, but I expect you want an extension. And given that you're speaking on behalf of a number of people, there's no problem with you going for, a minute or so longer.
Look, that's a major concern because, also being so close to our property that in the event of rain, and we do get fairly significant rain here, that, there could be water ingress into our particular block. So these are factors that we're concerned about, re the pool. And I guess the last one, which I wanted to raise is, and you guys would know this being on the panel, that, Arden Street is a very, very busy street. There's a number of buses that use that, during summertime, and even now in winter, we're noticing an increase in traffic volume. Parking problems around here, there's not a lot of parking. Unfortunately, ourselves and our neighbours don't have any parking on site. So we're all sharing off-street parking together with the cafe across the road and various shops and whatnot just around this particular precinct. And, especially with summer approaching, this is not a small build. This is a major, major build, and excavation equipment, etc., construction workers, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's going to put a hell of a stress on, an already busy street. And, we just wanted to raise those concerns because, we are finding it more and more difficult with the parking off street, and, a development of this nature and scale is not going to help.
All right, thank you. The panel members probably have got some questions. I'll just start off. You said before that 1, 4 and 7 enjoy sunshine. Can you just give us a bit more information on exactly what the rooms are, what the windows are, and whether it's from the balcony or from the actual rooms that you're saying that there's the existing sunshine?
So predominantly the sunshine's on the front balconies, which obviously are used, which then feed into a common lounge room with sliding balcony doors. So in the morning through till, probably 2 o'clock even on some days, that's a very sunny spot, and it's a very enjoyable spot for, go out and eat your breakfast. And in some cases we sunbake on the balcony. In particular, I know Unit 4, I regularly see them out there. So that's going to be impacted for them, probably less so a little bit for us in 7 because we are a bit higher and it's going to be now set back slightly. But, I'd be wrong if I didn't raise those concerns because they have been spoken about within the building.
And the windows that are further back, can you just confirm, it looked like on site that the ones on the upper levels have sort of obscure glazing, and then they seem to have a series of panels, some of which seems to be obscure and some seems to be clear and some obscure. So can you just confirm?
So from my own apartment, we own obviously lot 7, the top floor. It's a full penthouse style front to back apartment. There's actually no windows whatsoever on the northern side of our boundary wall. They're just transparent panels. They don't actually let any light into the building because obviously with the gyprock wall on the inside, they're purely there. A designer just designed it that way, so they don't have any impact in terms of the sunlight that comes.
And do you know about the next level down?
There are a couple of windows there on that side of the building for the apartments there in 4 and 1, and also the same for the rear apartments at the back of the building on that side of the building, so on the northern side of the building. They don't enjoy a lot of sun currently, especially the ground floor, because obviously the building's already there, but certainly with it going up higher, it will impact probably greater.
All right, I'll just see if there's other questions. No?
Do you know if any view analysis has been done?
Sorry, any what
Do
analysis?
you know if any view analysis has been done? Did you bring these concerns to the council?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look,
There is
during
one
the
in the report, yeah.
Yeah, during the original round of submissions, when we put our submissions in, I provided photos of our current view. I think one of the ladies that one of the planners at council actually came to site. Actually, we invited her into our apartment. She stood on our balcony. So, from that point of view, yes, we've had, a number of people look at it. We've submitted photos. We had 2 independent town planners, one of which lives in apartment 4. He provided his own submission, which was outstanding. And the strata committee ourselves, we all banded together to have a town, someone with experience put our submission in together with our own individual submissions. So that was all covered off during, those submissions.
Any other questions? Right, thank you very much. The next speaker is the architect with the proposal, Jenny Askin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Jenny Askin. I'm actually the planning consultant acting on behalf of the applicant. The architect was also going to join us and she's available to answer any questions once I've spoken. So thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon. Firstly, we'd like to confirm that we welcome the recommendation of the report, noting that we have worked with council to address the issues that have been raised by the neighbours. Secondly, I'd also like to confirm that we don't raise any concerns with the conditions as recommended, noting that there's been some additional conditions relating to privacy and also to set back the swimming pool, which I note was raised by the objector just now. In response to overshadowing, there is the removal of an existing outbuilding within the rear setback, and that will actually increase some overshadowing to adjoining private open space. With regards to the front balconies, the change in the front setback that we made during the DA process has actually improved solar access to those front balconies. Those front balconies are east facing, so they receive direct sun in the morning and they will continue to receive that sun. The front setback is not changing at the lower levels, and then we've set back the front building line from what was originally proposed to address the solar access issue and also to address the view issue. With regards to the view loss, the report confirms that that front setback has addressed the concern that was raised by 274, and it allows for these views down Arden Street. There was a mention regarding a view analysis on page 34 of the report of the agenda. There is a picture from that upper balcony showing what the view would be, and it shows the building as proposed. With regard to overshadowing as well, just touching on the north-facing windows of 274. So on the elevational shadow diagrams, there appears to be a very minor impact to the upper section of the north-facing windows located towards the centre of 274. This was recognised in the report and was considered to be acceptable. I have looked at these windows again. There appears to be the upper section of it forms part of the window structure, but it's not glazed. It's not even obscure glazing. It's actually solid. So that part of that structure that is impacted, which as I mentioned is very minor, does not actually provide solar access into that part of the building on the 21st of June now. The window that's located further to the rear will still receive solar access as per the 3 hours. Parking was just mentioned and traffic issues. The use of the development is not changing. So this will remain as a single dwelling, and there's also the health consulting rooms, which is the dental practice at ground level. There's no change to the intensity of the health consulting rooms. And given that it remains as a dwelling house, there's no additional impact in terms of parking or traffic generation. And beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the panel may have. And as I mentioned, the architect is hopefully online as well.
Okay, so just on the point of solar access, if we put up a elevation, can you just explain the windows that you were referring to? Exactly. Maybe we'll put up the shadow diagram. That might be the best one. we can do that. Okay, so you're talking about the central ones.
Yes, so if
So
you
if we go
see,
from the street, sort of count back.
yeah, so you can see if we're just compare, say for example, if we look at the bottom images and we've got existing and proposed, and you can see that the top portion, there's a very minor slither on the top of the window that might potentially get some solar access in as existing. And then obviously the shadow goes up the wall with the proposed. But that top section that might potentially get something is actually not a glazed section. It's sort of part of the window frame, but the glazed section where solar access goes through the
So you're frozen. I don't know if you can still hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes, you froze for a minute.
Okay.
But specifically, which are you talking about? Any window in particular? Like you mentioned, it was the ones in the centre.
The ones in the centre that are currently, you can see the line of shadow that goes across the top. It's just that top portion. I mean, it's more or less a slither of solar access, but that top portion doesn't actually include any glazing. So the windows don't currently get solar access in on the 21st of June. So there won't be any loss. The report does mention that there's a minor loss, but in my assessment, I don't see that there's any loss because there's no glazing component that's affected. Then the rear window, so that's located further to the rear, will continue to receive solar access for the 3 hours.
Last question.
Yes, look, thanks for that, Jenny. Because do you think you would acknowledge that the wall, the south-facing wall, I think the control asks for it to be 8 metres high, so you're in breach of that height.
That's correct.
So therefore, the impacts of that wall, especially the bit that's in breach of height, I would be very interested in knowing exactly what those impacts are. Now, on the first floor plan, what should be shown on the plan is the actual apartments, the rear apartments, so that we can actually see that it's actually a living room, and one of those windows is the only light into that living room. So we can probably acknowledge that ground floor, they will lose their light. But on the first floor, there's a living room that we can't see on your plans. So that's just the first point. The next point is just looking at these elevations, these shadow elevations, just looking at the right-hand side, the top at 9 a.m. is a shadow cast at 18 degrees from 2 metres away or so. The middle is a shadow cast at 32 degrees, because that's noon, from 2 metres away. And the bottom shadow is again cast at 18 degrees from 2 metres away. Why do you think they've all been shown in the same location up the elevation? They appear to be wrong, wouldn't you? The middle one, these shadows are not correct.
Yeah,
They can't be correct because 32-degree projection would place the shadow lower down the building than an 18-degree projection. 18 degrees is I think the height is the angle. It might be 18, it might even be lower, it might even be 12. I'm not completely sure of that. But I do know that the sun is highest at noon. So therefore, at noon, the shadow is meant to be further down the building. And at 9 a.m. or 3 p.m, it's meant to be further up the building. So in other words, the shadows are incorrect. Now, the other thing is you've described these windows, but I can only take you on faith because I went there today and I could look sideways down the side elevation, but I could only see the rear windows because they were in front of me from the rear yard. The other ones further down, I couldn't really see. But one thing I could notice is that the one on the stairwell is glass block. So there's no description of the windows at all. On these drawings, they're not drawn accurately. In other words, I can't see what you're describing. So I can neither see the impact of the portion of the wall that's in breach of the height, nor can I see accurate shadows, nor can I see accurate depictions of the windows. Now, this is of great concern to me because on the middle level, there's a living room that may actually retain its solar access if that wall was built at the compliant height. Now, can you understand my concern?
Yes, yeah, no, I do. I acknowledge all of that. If I could just get to the layout of the adjoining property. So when you're talking about the living room window, so if we look at the first floor plan and there's windows marked. So how it works is that there's 7 units in this adjoining building. So I think I might be wrong in the unit numbers, but 1, 3 and 5 face the street and 2, 4 and 6 face the rear.
Yes, but Jenny, that plan on the first floor, the plan that's being presented is in fact the second floor plan on the adjacent building. It's not the first floor plan. The first floor plan actually does not take that form. It's a rectangle and it has 2 apartments side by side at the rear.
Well, we're basing that on the approved plans, so we can.
We can show the plans. So in other words, we can't quite see what the impacts of this proposal are on the neighbour.
Right. No,
because the neighbour hasn't been.
So Jenny, you're saying it's a different plan now.
Yeah.
So it's 1, 3 and 5 face the front, and what are the numbers that face the rear?
And then 2, 4 and 6 would face the rear, and then number
And then
7
there's
is
7
the
on
penthouse.
top.
Yeah.
What were the plans we looked at before?
Those numbers
So
are
you're
actually.
saying these are not the plans of the building next door?
No, I haven't seen those plans.
Do you think it would be incumbent on a building that's breaching the height of the south-facing wall to actually demonstrate?
Yes, no, I agree with that. And it was acknowledged in the report that height breach, both the external wall height breach and the overall height breach, does not affect those windows. We can provide more information to that effect. But in terms of this layout, what I think is important, as I said, the units face the rear and they go the full width of the building. So the living area has access to, it looks out over the rear, so it has windows facing to the west.
Oh, so you're saying that these plans have been renovated?
That's right. Now, I know there was a number of modifications. I haven't seen these original plans, but the plans I have seen and the real estate plans I've seen have shown that it's 7 units. So the penthouse is number 7, and then there's 3 units. No, hold on, I'm getting confused now. No, that is correct.
If there are 7 units,
that's sorry.
Will align with the layout that we're showing you here.
Yeah, no.
Can we go back to those plans for a moment? So then you can see that you walk directly into a living room, right? On the middle level, you walk directly into a living room, and on the right-hand side of the plan is a window.
I think that maybe the easiest thing is if we ask the objector if he can just clarify what the arrangement is.
Yeah, look, thank you for the opportunity to clarify. There are 7 apartments in the complex, that's correct. Ours is lot 7, which is a top floor, front to back, east to west apartment. The next floor down, unit 4 is on the eastern end of the building. So that's the one that I've referred to. There's then 2 apartments at the back, one being 5 and one being 6. And then the same on the ground floor. Apartment 1 faces east. And then there's two one bedroom apartments downstairs, being apartment 2 and apartment 3. So the information that was provided doesn't seem accurate to me.
Yeah,
Right,
to the
so
rear units, that's not directly at the rear with the balcony, that it is the bedrooms.
So there are 4 rear balconies, being apartment 2 and 3 on the ground floor and 5 and 6 on the middle level, which then they go into a bedroom, if you like, or an extension of the bedroom, and then it comes into a lounge room. So certainly there are windows on that side of the building, on the northern side of the building, that are definitely impacted in terms of bedroom and lounge room by the shade.
Okay.
So the second window along, when we look at the overshadowing diagram, is that a living area? Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, yes. I can't quite see that, but there is a window in the middle of the building, which I think you described accurately as a glass panels or glass bricks, if you like. That
well,
actually,
that's the stairwell.
yeah, that particular window actually is the main light into our stairwell.
That's
provides,
into the stairwell, but then further west, there's a window that seems to be providing light to the living room.
that's correct.
Yeah. So look, just a statement, just a question to the planner. Look, I actually am worried about this because I think it's up to a demonstration that your breach of height is not unnecessarily taking away solar access to that living space. Could be reasonable.
Yep.
How can that be demonstrated if the shadows have been shown to be inaccurate?
Well, I think we'll have to review those again. And what we can do is provide new shadows, which will also show the height line of a compliant building height and a compliant wall height.
That would be great.
And then determine where they are in terms of the windows.
Now, this is quite unusual for the shadows to be wrong. How can you ensure that the shadows are correct?
Well, I'll have to speak to the architect about that and have them certified somehow against the survey.
Yeah, I think that we might have to do that, because otherwise I'm just not convinced that the shadow, well, I'm convinced the shadows are wrong.
So what sort of time frame would you need to do that?
I'm not sure if the architect is online, if she can actually join in.
I think she was
because
going to be listening. Yeah, so if she's there, we could let her in. We'll just check if she's available.
I'm also thinking maybe it might be more beneficial to do views from the sun.
Well, as long as they're correct.
Yeah.
And I think you would need to provide the detail on those north-facing windows that actually explain what you explained verbally.
Yeah.
That actually accurately depict those openings so that they can be verified.
Identify the windows.
Yeah.
What rooms those windows are to as well.
I'm wondering, would it be useful if council could also facilitate maybe an inspection that we can go in and see internally? Because what I was finding was you have this window structure, and then I found real estate photos that showed a much smaller window internally, even if photos were provided, just so it's clear what the opening is to those rooms. Because what's externally might not be the same as internally. I'm not sure if the assessment officer maybe would have photos from those living areas, or if the objectors can provide those, just so we can clarify.
I'd be happy to provide whatever photos are required by council. We have no issue with explaining exactly what the windows are and take a photo, which you can look at. That's not an issue. Happy to help.
Thanks. All right, any further questions?
And did you have a couple of questions for the architect? I think that's
We have
the landscape.
Sorry, yes, we were is the architect there? Well, actually, we talked to the planner. We were just concerned about the fact that the proposal doesn't comply with the deep soil requirement of 20% of the site area. And I understand that council has imposed a condition to require additional setback from the adjacent southern boundary. But we're also thinking that there is a need for some landscaping, potentially a tree, and also that it appears that the pool, the combined area of the pool, the spa and the lily pond is very significant, and is the reason that you're not able to comply with deep soil. So we're wondering whether potentially the pool could be pulled in a bit so that it does provide with a compliant amount of deep soil and landscaped area.
Okay, that's something we can look at. Obviously, we've got no concern with that setback, and that area will be landscaped along the boundary as per the condition, but we can also review if we can put in some more landscaped area and a tree within the garden. So if we're going to review the shadows at this stage, we can review that as well.
A suggestion we had made was reducing the width of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that the deep soil does comply. And, you know, when we were looking at the pool, we thought it could still work as a lap pool if it was 2.1 metres wide. That would allow a greater amount of soil and allow for a large tree.
It also just provides a logical extension of the levels adjacent to the stairs going up, so the pool basically just terminates at a line where the stairs end. Anyway, you can look at that as part of the any changes that might be made.
Yeah, if you could mark up a plan and then we can look at that. So you're talking about bringing the pool in to meet up with the deck, with the stairs from the steps from the deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that takes the pool width to about 2.1 wide. It keeps the pool the same length. It just means that you can actually comply. Well, I haven't done the calculation, but it looks like you could comply with the deep soil requirement.
Okay. Okay, we can have a look at that.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. We'll obviously consider this after the meeting, and what we decide will be communicated to you. So that was the only item on the agenda. So the public meeting is now closed, and the panel will now adjourn and deliberate on this matter. And as I've said in my opening, our decision and reasons for our decision will be placed on the council's website and provided to the applicant. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.